Ever try to rebrand a luxury car and drive your sales off the cliff?
No. Okay, well, have you ever slapped a skull on the side of a water can and then ended up with $1 billion valuation?
What about launching an AI campaign and ultimately telling everyone that humans are no longer needed?
No, I haven't. But we got a fun-filled episode, so let's cover all of this and more. Let's get branded.
The BrandProof Podcast is on. The BrandProof Podcast is on. The BrandProof Podcast is on. Here's the BrandProof Podcast Show.
Welcome back to BrandProof Episode 4. I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm Lindsay, and whether you're here for the branding fails or the multi-billion-dollar successes, we've got a show ready for you today.
Oh, yes, we do. And before we really get going, a couple things we've got to go over. If you haven't liked or subscribed or even made a comment, go ahead and do that. We would much appreciate it. And it really helps out small business owners and entrepreneurs who are new to the show and are kind of, staying tuned to all this stuff. But really kind of before we get into the swing of things, last week, it was an awesome episode. You surprised me first with this bottle of Blood Oath. I won't say it. But if you watch the episode, you'll get what my drift on that. So we're kind of liking this. Start off the episodes with a little touch, a little taste of bourbon, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And what do you got for us today, Lindsay? Because I'm excited.
And I'm really excited about today
Yes.
because I've been wanting to try it, and this show is just a perfect reason to try all the nicest bourbons out there, right?
Yes. And we hope you guys at home can also drink with us so we're not drinking by ourselves, because that would be awkward.
Or if you have any recommendations, we'd love to hear.
Yes. If you got recommendations,
Yeah.
please mail them to, what's the address here? Okay.
Samples? Okay. So Frank August.
Ooh.
Isn't that pretty? You can only imagine why I chose,
Very
this one.
classy looking bottle.
I know, it's so simple, minimalistic, but it's just beautiful. But they have an award-winning case study series, and this is the 4th release in that series. And what makes this so very special, thanks, Courtney, for bringing that up, is that it's their term proofed in barrel, and I'll explain that in just a second. But this is actually a double oaked Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey and a Kentucky straight rye whiskey.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I like that.
So they say it's bold, complex, but smooth.
Bold, complex, and smooth. Courtney says that about me when I'm not around.
Does she?
I don't know. I'm assuming that's what she says when I'm not around.
You're right. She does.
Yes,
yeah, I remember now.
Okay.
So anyway, before you taste it,
Yes.
there you go. Smell it and
Yes.
tell me what you smell.
All right.
I'm going to do my cheat sheet.
Woo. Now, compared to last week's, that had a little bit more of the spicy mamacita thing.
Yeah.
But this one is bold. I mean, I could smell it. I mean, that one's, is it strong? Is that what you mean by bold? Is it?
I mean, I smell a little bit of vanilla, but I smell some spice too.
Yeah, I definitely smell the spice
Okay, let's
in
do
there.
the cheat sheet.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, look at there. An
Cheat it.
intricate bouquet opens with sweet vanilla and baking spices, quickly deepened by the sharpness of rye and the alluring touch of warm oak. Hints of brown sugar, dried fruits, and a whisper of leather emerge as the aromas evolve. So it adds richness and depth to this well-balanced
Well,
whiskey. So, you want to try it?
I would love to. Woo! Mercy.
That's good.
Mercy. I can feel it out my nose. Woo!
How big of a sip did you take?
Well, as you said last week, I'm more, you're not supposed to chug it, you're supposed to sip it. And, well,
Yeah, you gulped.
college ruined me of that.
Okay, I'm cheating, so I can't tell you what I taste, but you tell me what you taste. It's still there.
I don't know. I think it's the spices. I think it's a very, I don't know, like longing would be like kind of a.
Yeah, it lasts, right?
It lasts,
Which is
yeah.
funny because, and I'm kind of skipping ahead, but the finish, they said the finish is unexpectedly long and evolving. There
Look
you
at
go.
that.
I know. Look at
that.
you. But the first sip envelopes the palate in a velvety sweetness with caramelized sugars and baked apple bursting at the front. But take another sip and let's see. It's supposed to slightly taste different.
Really?
Sip. I think the spice is more.
Now, maybe it's because it's coated my
Vivid.
palate, so it's not as really just strikingly bold.
It's more subtle
More subtle now.
and smooth. Yeah, and that's what they said. The subtle notes of toasted almonds, buttery toffee, and clove. And I do want to say, and we're going to enjoy the rest of the broadcast, but I think the story is kind of cool. I mentioned that it's proofed in barrel. Do you know what that means?
I have heard the terminology, but
They actually termed it, and it's the process the brand has introduced with this expression. So instead of proofing in tanks prior to bottling, at the time of the second barrel fill, Frank August proofed in barrel. So at the point of maturation, each barrel would be 95 proof. Each secondary barrel was then aged an additional 12 to 14 months before being dumped and batched.
interesting.
I know, but I'm enjoying it. Good job, Frank
I
August.
like it. Yes, Frank August. This one is to you.
Cheers.
Cheers, Frank August. Does it say, is Frank August the name
Yes.
of the brand?
FrankAugust.com. And speaking of, Courtney, sorry, can I bother you one more time? I love, as you know, simple brands, minimal brands. If you'll scroll down a little
Yes.
bit, Courtney.
I'd like to see this too.
Yes. So open and undisguised. But I love they infuse this story. It's an invitation. Go back up for just 1 second, Courtney. An invitation to come together and share an America spirit. So then you go down, you're feeling the imagery, which are all totally on brand, right? And they believe that bourbon has a more expansive story to tell, one that belongs to all of us because it will be told by all of us.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. So a lot of the Kentucky bourbons, you know, have the advantage of being around forever and ever. And they hold a beautiful place, right, in the whole whiskey world. Sure. But Frank August is taking their story of being a little newer on the market and saying that it's a story that we all can tell together because we all love whiskey bourbon, right?
Right.
And so then they start introducing their own new proofed in barrel, etc. And I do love, scroll down just a little bit more, I hope it's on this page, is a modern expression of what bourbon is, what it can represent. And then at the very end, their tagline, I believe, is America's Spirit, Be Frank.
I like that.
that great?
America's Spirit, Be Frank.
And then the rich walnut tones they
be frank.
used throughout, the minimalistic branding, and even in their content, every bit of their content infuses story and their actual look brand imagery.
So the more you drink, the more you are like America and Frank.
Yes.
I got it. So it will be my mission to finish that bottle and be just like Frank. A true American.
In this episode?
Why not?
And so today I'm going to just quickly run down a preview of what's all on today's episode.
Okay, sounds good.
Jaguar's rebrand backfires and sales take a nosedive. You see that?
Yep.
Liquid
I didn't
Death.
want to see it, but I did see it.
Yeah. Liquid Death shows the power of edgy branding.
Mm-hmm.
An AI Billboard tells businesses to stop hiring humans.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this one. I don't know how to think. I'm confused.
Maybe you need an AI software to help you with that.
Or more Frank.
We break down Survey the Land, the first
Yep.
step in any strong branding strategy, right? That's a kind of play on last week's when you kind of introduced the entire. So we're going to break it down today on the first step, and that's surveying the land. And then I'll help you choose the right social media platform. We kind of introduced that last week as well. And then 2 small business branding wins that should inspire everybody.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a lot of headlines to cover, but first off, I want to start with Jaguar. And why do I want to start with Jaguar? Because, last week in our episode 3, I mentioned that Jaguar had a huge drop in sales. Well, I did not know how large that was. 97% drop in sales in Europe, of course.
Right.
But that is huge. That would take out any company whatsoever. And so I decided to get on the old YouTubes and look up this ad that everyone was talking about. And speechless is probably the first word I would come up with when watching this ad. But I'm going to, Courtney, if you can cue up that, and what I'm going to do is read you the intro to it. And then I want everyone at home to try to spot the Jaguar car. Like put on your best bifocals and stare really hard at the screen and find the car. Now, maybe you can't find the car. I couldn't. But here we go. So Jaguar's luxury rebrand crashes sales. So here is what happened. Jaguar moved to an ultra premium EV identity, cutting out the old models and going sleek. What was the result? A staggering 97% drop in European sales. So here's the ad that I mentioned that caused so much controversy. Go ahead, Courtney. Maybe the car's blurred out. Maybe they're looking at the car off camera. Copy nothing, not even the car. Jaguar. Okay, so for me, the best part about that ad that I liked, believe it or not, is kind of the font of how they rebranded the logo. Anyway, so here's why this matters, because typically when you think of Jaguar, you think of kind of like our Bourbon. You think of refined. You think bold, luxury,
right?
Upscale. It's Jaguar. It means
authentic,
something,
right?
To even some Bonds, James Bond have even drove Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
So when an ad agency decides to completely flip the script and change the demographics for your intended potential buyers out there, what does that mean for a brand? What do you think?
Well, in this case, it didn't mean a positive thing for the brand. I think that sometimes in the marketing world, we think, oh, well, let's just wipe the slate clean and let's just rebrand and let's just come out of the gates and really make a bold statement. But I think what they did not do is really look, like you were talking about, to their ideal target audience and say, okay, if we're at 180,000 sales, I think Jaguar had mentioned back in the 2018 or something. And I think that still was on the decline, not the incline. So they thought, okay, we just really need to, pivot and look at our brand and try to appeal to people and show them that we're here, we're relevant, we're modern. And what happened was they went viral. They got that buzz that everybody wants. But what happened is it did not generate to sales. And I think that they did a huge misstep for themselves is instead of looking why their sales were already slightly declining, which I think went back to there were some years that the Jaguar wasn't as dependable. They were more expensive to fix. And so they kind of lost their spot in the whole luxury car world. So instead of addressing those issues with their current audience and saying, here we are, and slightly evolving their brand, they just came out of the gates and it was a very, very big misstep.
Yeah, because I'm all about a rebrand. If you think that your brand is struggling out there and you think that, hey, it's time we got to do something because sales are not doing good, I'm all for kind of, trying new things. But with that said, you have to keep your audience in mind of, who is actually buying your product.
Yes.
And if you disregard them, then you're gambling
Right.
with your whole company.
And with a strategic rebrand, you can still appeal to your current audience because you need them.
Yeah.
And you don't need to lose the loyalty like Jaguar did with this. But you can also start evolving and talking to a different clientele. I know that they were thinking, okay, we don't want to just be my grandmom's car, right? They want to go to a younger audience. But what they did is they forgot all about grandma in this process.
Right. That's
So,
true.
yeah.
That's true. Well, anyway, that's a great story. But it doesn't make me want to buy a Jaguar. So if you want to move on to the next headline, you're not going to hurt my feelings.
I shall. All righty. So headline 2, Liquid Death hits 1.4 billion valuation from branding alone. Do you drink Liquid Death?
No, you know what? I'm going to be honest, and this is naive me. I had never heard of Liquid Death till, I don't know, a couple months ago. I was in Target and saw Liquid Death on the shelf and thought, oh my gosh, what is that? So yeah, now I know, but
And
I'm new to it.
seen the branding, but to be honest with you, because I don't think that you and I are their target, age demographic probably. Right. I just always assumed they were an energy drink, kind of like Full Throttle and all the rest. But I learned that no, they are actually mainly sweet tea or tea. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But anyway.
I thought it was water. Is it not water? I thought it was water too. Is it tea?
Yeah. Well, is it? Courtney, do you know? Oh, it's canned water and iced tea.
That's
you're right.
what it is.
Yes, you're right. But see, I didn't even know it was water. So anyway, but it works for the demographic that they're hitting. In fact, $1.4 billion to the demographic.
Woo!
Yes. And so what this article was talking about is what philosophy did they use to get so popular? Because really right now, if you think of all the drinks out there, Celsius, all of them, Red Bull, they're all so very trendy, but they're also very popular. But how did they make tea and water stand out amongst the others? And so what they were saying is that whenever they make content, that they ask this one question: will this get shared on social media? They don't ask likes, loves.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Will this get shared? And so then I thought this was pretty cool because he said, and this is Dan Murphy, the brand's SVP of marketing, because if it's not compelling enough for people to share, then it's probably not good tip of the spear, top of the funnel marketing.
Well, and think about it though. I mean, your brand is called Liquid Death. You have one of two options with that, and I think he's totally on the spot. With that, I think going viral and making sure that every social media post that you do is different, stands out of the box.
And that's what they do. They have 14 million followers on Instagram and TikTok. Awesome. And they say, even though at its heart, it's just a brand that sells canned water and iced tea, but it's marketed and sold like an overly aggressive beer, which gets a lot of attention. And another thing that I read is that they don't just hire content creators. They actually hire and marketers. They don't just do that. They hire comedy writers. Oh. Isn't that neat? And so they have written for the likes of Adult Swim, it says, then they keep these writers hermetically sealed from the rest of the business so that they can focus on the funniest ideas and not be watered down by sales or marketing concerns, which is brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a proponent of the marketing side, but in any major corporation like that, sometimes the different departments, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's the finance, everybody's kind of having their own opinion. And oftentimes one of those will take the reins and steer the company's brand. In this case, I think hiring comedy writers to bring in another view or aspect keeps them thinking outside the box, and it's really worked in revenue for them. So I want to give you an example. Courtney, will you show the Instagram, one of their latest Instagram reels?
Now, Liquid Death is the official iced tea of Arizona, Nebraska.
And so that's not, I mean, it's not a very branded, it's not very expensive reel, but look, 4,500 something likes. I mean, it's insane how they bring a storyline, you know, across. And I don't think it played the whole thing, but it still shows. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, start it again then. Let's see.
Liquid Death is proud to announce that we're the official iced tea of Arizona because we went to Arizona, Nebraska, population 278. We met the self-proclaimed mayor. We went to the courthouse for a vote. We threw the whole town a party, and we secured Arizona's endorsement.
Liquid Death.
Liquid Death.
Liquid Death.
The official iced tea of Arizona, Nebraska.
So now Liquid Death is the official iced tea of Arizona, Nebraska.
Nebraska.
I mean, isn't that brilliant?
Yeah, I love it.
So anyway, kudos to Liquid Death. And now I'm going to try it.
I would definitely try it. I mean, I honestly thought, who is canning water and putting liquid
Right.
death? But now that I know that there's a little bit, I know the backstory, seen the viral video there, I would definitely try it just for the sake of trying it.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you this though: if we were to break this down, okay, so to the small mom and pop level entrepreneur who can't afford comedians and
Right.
from Adult Swim and everywhere else, what can they do on just a local level, to stand out?
And, you know, we've given two examples. Jaguar went to extreme and
Right.
it failed,
And it
but
failed.
Liquid Death has thought outside the box and it's worked. So I think, and we're going to talk a little bit more further in this episode, but I think the main thing is to really look at your brand, your business, and what makes you you.
Right.
And instead of coming out of the box, let's say if you're, I don't know, an insurance agent or a financial advisor, you're probably not going to pull off a video like, that one, a comedy one, but be true to your brand and your story. And if you want to be a little bit different and a little bit edgy, that's okay, but just still really focus and hone in on how you can stand out in that crowd. And because in this day and age, people are seeing a million things. So what can make you different? And don't change from week to week. Once you set a goal, stick with it, be consistent, and let that story fold out, whether it's through reels, imagery, live video, whatever that might be, and play it out at least a month or two and see if it's growing. And if so, that can be your niche.
Yeah, I would highly suggest everyone's got a cell phone, everyone's got an iPhone, everyone's can make their own videos.
Right.
And I would suggest trying some videos. It doesn't have to be completely out of the box, either Jaguar level or Liquid Death level.
No.
But you could help tell your story
Or show
about
who you are.
That's what I'm
right?
saying. Tell your story about who you are, who your company is, what products you sell, and just kind of do that a lot, just repetitively. Just-
And the premise of marketing is providing value to the people you're trying to provide value to. So let's say you're a realtor, right? You're not always going to say, this is what's for sale, this is what's under contract. You're going to put that, and that's going to be a majority of your content. But the people who follow your pages and are in that relationship with you on social media may not be in the right then ready to sell their home or buy a new home, but you want to keep those people for referral basis or down the line when they do want to do business. So you want to provide some sort of value. I see a lot of realtors right now doing videos of the local communities, the areas, different, things to do if you have a teenager, things to do if you have a family, and just the beautiful locale of the area. So they sell their area and provide value back. Some do sunsets, so.
I've seen there's the newest trend that I have seen in the real estate market that a lot of realtors are utilizing, and I think this is just an awesome thing to do, is drone videos. You can hire drone guys pretty much on the cheap because there's a lot of drones out there, small drones. You don't have to have a big $8,000 drone or whatever. But I've seen some fly-through houses where they show you everything about the house, upstairs, downstairs. They show you the landscaping. They show you everything you'd ever want to know through a drone video.
Oh, I love it.
And it is just, it's awesome. And one of the things that they do is there's people in the house. There's some are sitting on the couch watching TV. Some are in the kitchen cooking. Some are reading a book in a little cozy corner. And the drone just kind of goes through and shows you. And so you can imagine what it would be like to live there.
It's the emotional connection.
You know?
Right.
I watched it going, I would probably sit in that little corner over there. Or I would play video games over in there. I would.
And you know, I'm going to play to my countryside for a second there. But for instance, a land company that I help with their marketing, the drone guy got the drone and put it in the deer stand and then came out of the window and went over the green field. And it was such a cool shot for that piece of property.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Very cool. So, okay.
Well, thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
All right, headline number 3. And this one has caused also some controversy. So I don't know why my stories are a little bit on the controversial side this week, but they are. So an AI billboard appeared in both New York and San Francisco. And it says, "Stop hiring humans," in big, huge freaking letters. Okay, so here's what happened. An AI company used provocative messaging that rubbed people the wrong way. Here, I'm going to show you, Courtney, if you can cue up this news story that I found out of San Francisco. It kind of gives a little glimpse. I don't really want to watch the whole 2 or 3 minute long thing, but we'll start a little bit and get a good idea of what's going on. So if you can go ahead and play that.
But look, it seems to declare quite explicitly what a lot of people fear about AI.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think that going into this, we knew that if we made the billboards like everyone else makes their billboards, no one's going to care. Like if I put a billboard up that said, we're going to improve your outbound sales, then we wouldn't be talking right now. It wouldn't matter. Like we'd spend the money and we'd get nothing from it. So when we created the campaign, we went into it knowing that we have to be provocative. We have to do something different to draw attention. And
Jasper Carmichael Jack, founder and CEO of Artisan AI, is quick to acknowledge what you may already suspect. The ads are deliberately provocative and not to be taken literally. He says their AI sales software isn't for businesses looking to shed jobs, but automate some undesirable tasks.
And they're excited to use the product. They're excited to be able to hand off the menial work that they don't enjoy doing and focus on real human work and doing things that only a human can do. And I think that's what we're really going after. We're going after replacing the work that people don't want to do so they can do the work that they actually enjoy.
But
all right, Courtney, let's stop it there. Okay, so bold ideas I don't feel are always effective because sometimes they can be very controversial, as we kind of saw with Jaguar too. I think when you push, billboards are saying, become unemployed, let AI do all of the work. There will be no more future jobs for you. Let AI do all the work. That, to me, when I read that, and I do use AI, I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel that this company is taking advantage of AI.
It's an AI software.
We know that AI is coming. We know that AI is going to take over a lot of jobs. But is it almost kind of a fear factor in some? Because a lot of the residents in both New York and San Francisco were up in arms about this. They did not like this at all.
But look at the press they got. And then they put that adorable little CEO on there. I mean, I could hear him talk all day long. I think it was absolutely brilliant. And at the end of the day, it's an AI software. And we all know, Ryan, you love some AI. I mean, in fact, we could do a whole episode on all the different AI softwares that you probably know about or have learned about or use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably true.
And that's his product and that's his service. That's his whole company. And so I think he was brilliant. Was it edgy? Yes. Was it a bit racy? Yes. Did it play on fears? Absolutely. But in a brilliant way, because there is not one CEO, director, manager, owner of a company that doesn't have workforce that has shortfalls within their team and their workforce. So what they did, not only playing on the fear, to me, my personal opinion, in a brilliant way, is they also identified a relatable thing that any of those people could see and say, wow, you're right. I could get a software to help me become more efficient and more streamlined. And in the company's defense, I did see a mention of this on LinkedIn, that they said that it's still the human element. You utilize your workforce to do the things that they're so strongly suited for, but this takes away those little nuances, those things that nobody wants to do.
Well, it's as we've said before in a prior episode. You know, if you're using AI as a helpful tool
right.
to advance or further your business or your products, I am all for that because I do that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my best friend and I, ChatGPT, we hash out a lot of stuff, and it's a very good. If you need someone for strategies and planning, I would highly suggest AI
And organization.
Organization.
Helps you organize your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised you haven't named your Chat GPT yet, Ryan.
I haven't. I'm still. I don't want to get that close, even though it already it already knows me.
Yes,
I'm
and
just
you're only
saying.
calling it it. It's not even a he or she yet. I can't wait to see
No,
how
I
this
know.
evolves.
I know.
Yeah.
I've heard. I once heard this marketing creator. She said, "I just got tired of saying Chat GPT, so she named him Chad.
Yeah, that's good.
Just Chad.
That's
Chad
good.
and I." She goes, "Just it doesn't roll off the tongue. Chat GPT just doesn't really have a ring to it." So, all right. Well, those are 3 of the latest news stories that we found for the last week or so, couple weeks, and we'll keep staying on top of any of the latest marketing news and headlines and how that can relate to you guys at home and your business and your products and stuff like that. So up next, we've got we're going to get into a little bit of branding foundations,
Okay.
and we're going to break things down even more than what I did in the last episode. So
Right.
let's get into a little bit of that right now. Last episode, I discussed with you guys the 7 steps of branding and how I related to building a house. I got to thinking about that a little bit more. And what I want to do is kind of break down each of the 7 steps and only focus on 1 step per episode for the next 7 episodes or so, kind of throughout this season. Okay. So the first step was survey the land. And when we survey the land, it's know your market, understand the competition, get to know your customers, and maybe even determine your marketing budget right from the start. All right. So know your market. Let's start with the big picture. What market are you even entering? Why does knowing your market matter? What trends are changing the landscape? Where's the hidden opportunity for your business? Okay, so Lindsay, what I want to do is kind of talk about these questions a little bit, just so the business owners at home and stuff, we can kind of go through this. I'm a business owner. I'm thinking about starting my own business.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's say it's a brick and mortar. I know what city I want to be in. I know what the product is, but I'm a little unsure how to start. So I have said, survey the land.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's say you're a beautician, a hair salon, right? So when you survey the land, you have to think of, where will I best succeed? Are you a hairdresser that already has a lot of clientele, or are you a brand new hairdresser?
let's say, in this case, I'm a brand new hairdresser.
Okay.
I'm new.
So surveying the land would be, okay, where are a lot of the hair salons in my area? What is my target audience, my clientele? You know, if I am an upper end hairstylist that maybe only focuses on females, I may want to be in a shopping center that's higher end, that has maybe a Saks or whatever. And if I don't want to go on my own just yet, and I kind of want to get the lay of the land, I may want to go into another successful hair salon and rent out a space there until I can get my clientele up. But I think to know where the other hair salons are, would be one. 2 would be to go to where your client is. And then 3, if you're brand new, you've got to have some sort of branding. So if you're not going with a current hair salon that's already successful and branded, and you are starting your very own with the signage and everything, you don't want to be in some closet where nobody can see you. You want to be somewhere where your foot traffic or the car traffic is going to see where you are. And I know in our local community, you know, even though our town isn't bigger than 25,000 people, it's definitely broken up into different areas. We've got a downtown area, and then we have where it's kind of growing. The suburbs now have the different amusement parks, malls, etc. So let's say you're a barber, a hair, but you're not going to go next to or in the shopping center necessarily. You may go to where the men are. Is there an auto parts store around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go to where your client is, but also go to where you can have some sort of branding and awareness that you exist.
No, I totally agree. And let me kind of break this down from my viewpoint, because it's a little bit different from yours, but a lot of crossover for sure. My background of recent was in mergers and acquisitions. And of acquisitions, one of the things that we always did when looking for a potential business to buy was I put together a marketing audit.
Right.
And in this marketing audit, I broke everything down from, I first started off with, where is this land going to be? What does it look like? I would go to the Google Street View, and then I would roam around on the streets and just kind of see, what does the area look like where I'm kind of thinking about purchasing the property or leasing the property, or just kind of the area I want to be in. What are some of the local businesses nearby? What do they look like? Then what I would do is I would look at some of, let's say I found a property that I would like. I would then look at, okay, let's go online. Let's look at
the demographics. Right.
Let's look at what is the median age of the demographics. So I know if it skews older, skews younger. Does that fit with my product? Does that fit with what I'm trying to sell? You know, generally I always targeted mid-30s kind of thing.
For this specific industry.
For my specific industry.
But I think the crossover is for local business owners. They already know pretty much their market area, but they still can do these sorts of audits because there may be a town very close by that has the demographics higher than they assume it has.
It's all interesting because I mean, even crime rate.
Right.
Sometimes I was shocked. I would find a city or place that was really nice, but crime rate was high. And I was shocked with that. So, you know, that is something we could offer to do in the near future. If you guys, I just thought about this. If you guys would like us to do a marketing audit or something like that, let us know. And we can work something out to kind of guide you through that, because the marketing audit isn't just a one pager. It actually has a lot of detail and stuff to go through. And maybe we can do something online in the near future to kind of put that out there.
And it helps. It helps to know, okay, is your brand or service or product going to be relevant? Is it already oversaturated where you're looking? And who should you really be honing in on? You know, so a lot of the different towns and cities have their own surveys available on their city websites and town websites because they've already had to do it. So they already have that on the city website that you can go to as well.
Do you want to know my cheat to my little marketing audit?
And this was before AI.
Yes, before AI, I found a cheat code to surveying the land. Want to know what it was?
Yes.
Chick-fil-A. So Chick-fil-A, there goes my headset. Chick-fil-A has already done all of the due diligence for all of the marketing stuff, and they only put Chick-fil-A's in areas that they know they can dominate, right? That's why Chick-fil-A's are always super crowded. So I knew if I had a business somewhat in a mile to 2 mile radius of a Chick-fil-A, then I already knew that they've already looked at everything about that.
And in your case, the industry that you were buying were daycares. And so their surveys were directly related to families and kids.
Even car washes or other things that I may or invested in, are all semi-near Chick-fil-A's
Right. But there's only one
that were
Chick-fil-A.
successful.
Right. There's only one Chick-fil-A per town or city, typically, unless it's a
you're a big
college
city,
campus
unless
or
you're a big
that
city.
sort of thing. But let's say
Yeah.
you're an insurance agent, right? There could be 3 or 4 Alpha, State Farm, agents in the same city or town. But just looking at the relevance of all that, if you have 3 State Farm agents in one city or town, then, and you're a hairdresser, then you can kind of plot out and say, okay, there's a high incident of a certain demographic, and so it all helps. Definitely. That's good, bro.
Well, this is a good segue into your next topic.
The next step is understanding the competition. Who out there is already doing what you want to do? What is that other business, those other brands doing better than you? And what are they doing that's not so great? What can you offer or do that they don't? And how can you stand out in a crowded field instead of blend in? You want to talk about it, Ryan?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, because we've already kind of been talking a little bit about competition. But, I guess when it comes to, are we still sticking with the hairdresser model? Or are we going to?
I want to say not everybody is storefront, but like we've talked about, everyone should have some sort of presence online, whether it mirrors their storefront or not. So I'm talking in general, whether it's a store that you brick and mortar or it's a store online. I think to know what is out there and what is also offering a similar thing to you. Think about restaurants. No matter what size town or city you live in, there's going to be multiple restaurants out there. But how many are going to be the same, flavor as you? Are you going to do barbecue? Are you going to be doing seafood? Are you going to be doing Indian, Asian? And then of those, are they doing it well? And are they not? I say competition sometimes is a good thing, because not everybody can eat Indian food every night of the week or seafood every night of the week. And business can lead to other business. But in the competitive market is to just stand back, and instead of being threatened by who could be your competitor, and this isn't even just for new businesses, this is actually for businesses that are in existence, because I've noticed that sometimes business owners get so caught up and wrapped up into the day-to-day issues and tasks that they have to do that they forget to sometimes step away and say, okay, what are my competitors doing? Or what are other people in my area doing? And looking at what they're doing really, really well and looking at their missteps, because you can learn from both. I don't say copy, but you can get inspired on what other people are doing. But on the missteps, what are they doing that you don't want to do, that you feel like is a bit cringy or just is not on brand for your business?
And I would also, in addition to all that, one of the things that I noticed that a lot of new businesses try, some do it and some don't, and it's customer service.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of times, some of your older businesses, they've always been, the one trick pony. They're the only player in town. But sometimes a new business will come in and they will have outstanding customer service. And I think you can always kill them with kindness.
Right.
Kill them with kindness. I always tell business owners, follow the Disney method.
So in that case, they're reading the reviews of their competition, and they're seeing, okay, this is a commonality, and this is a place where we internally, this is more of a business development piece, but where we can get stronger. But what is a marketing piece that we can tell everybody how we're getting stronger in a subtle way? And I say, go back to reviews. If you can start getting more reviews and asking for those reviews saying how great you are in the areas that your competitor maybe is not so great in, then that puts you at a higher level of being found by the people that you're trying to be found by that maybe weren't so happy with that other business.
And when you say reviews, are you talking about Google business reviews, Facebook reviews, all of it?
All of the above. It just depends on the industry and where you are. But as a general whole, Google reviews are gold. They will be gold for a long, long time. Yelp, TripAdvisor, Bing, yeah.
Which leads me to the next point is when surveying the land, go ahead, jump on Google and look at all of your competition online. See what they're doing right, see what they're doing wrong, and then you try to outdo that. A lot of times, your competition will not have a Google business presence. They just won't have anything. They won't have any Google reviews. They won't have
or if
the
they
times
do,
that
it's
they're
one
open
that's
that
automatically
day.
generated, which could be a whole episode. But yeah, Google Business is you have to have. It's free.
Sometimes they don't have a website. Sometimes they do have a website, but it's from 1995.
And I know that this section is about knowing your competitors and learning from them and, et cetera, but also do a branding analysis of yourself.
Yeah.
We
there you go.
forget to go online and search ourselves and see what people are seeing, and also searching for those things we hope our target audiences are searching for. So let's say I'm a commercial construction business or a residential construction business. I know that people in my local area, if I'm really honing in on a certain area, they're going to say best construction company for homes in XYZ town. And then I want to see who comes up. And those that come up are ones that I really want to go and see what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. But furthermore, why am I not coming up? And for the people that are finding me, I want to go to my website. I want to go to my social media. Is it all fluent? Is it all working together? And when I go to the website and when I go to the social media pages, does it look like the same company or something from a different planet? Because if I don't have the branding, messaging, content everywhere that people can find me, that first impression, then I'm doing myself an injustice.
Yep. I totally agree. Well, let's move to the next section. I want to talk about knowing your customer. Who are you trying to reach out there? What is your motivation that places you better than your competitor? What problems are you trying to solve better than the rest? How do you want your customers or clients to feel when they interact with your brand? Which I think is a really big point. What your brand says, exactly what you were saying. How does it make you feel? Like we just saw earlier in this episode, the Jaguar. Right? How does that make you feel? Well, it doesn't make me feel like Jaguar.
Made me feel cringy.
It doesn't. I just know that the audience for Jaguar, it doesn't make me feel that way. So if it doesn't make you feel like the product you're trying to sell to, then it's probably not right.
It made me feel
for
uncomfortable being able to see through, blouses and all the
Absolutely.
rest.
So knowing the customer that's going to be buying from you is important. Another example would be, let's say you are trying to sell something to a company, sell a service to a company. Let's say maybe you are an HVAC company. You're brand new. You're looking for new clients, new customers, but you want to go toward businesses, right? You don't want to do residential. You want to do commercial. Again, you can go on Google. You can find out everything you want to know about the particular business that you have in mind. Research them and get to know who they are. So when you do set up the meeting, you know the history of the company. You know everything about them, and it makes the hopefully potential clients or customers feel better that you've done your due diligence. You've done your homework.
And HVAC is a perfect example of. Let's say you are a new business to the area and there is a preferred HVAC company that's been around forever, the third generation.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to just come in and take over their business, right? Or their customers. So who could be your customer that maybe they're not servicing or is their ideal customer? They're not speaking to them. And where I'm going with that is maybe it's developers. Maybe it is the construction people, on these new home developments. Maybe that's where you slide in and let them know the value of using you on all of these new homes that they're building. And you form that relationship and partnership with them.
Yeah. And you don't always have to undercut your budget either, or your quote, right? To outdo the competitor.
Right.
If you know the overall market price for the services that you are trying to offer, I would highly suggest do not go way under your competitor.
Why is that?
I don't do that because it doesn't look like I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
It doesn't look like I'm confident in my business or
Right.
my own service that I'm offering. It doesn't look like I understand the value or the worth
Right.
of what I'm offering.
Right. Your price directly
I'm cutting
equates
it.
to your value.
Right.
Right. And your perception.
Yeah, which, what my motto is three. I have 3 words that I have been saying now for almost 25 years that I have lived by 3 words. I've gotten into good discussions with people. You know what that is?
Courtney, do you know what it is?
You know what the 3 words are?
Yeah.
I will give you a hint. The first word is perception
Is everything.
is reality.
Okay. Yeah.
Perception is reality. For example, I'll give an example of this,
Okay.
of how I learned this. Years ago, I worked for the Shop at Home Network in Nashville, Tennessee. We had all these live TV sets where we're selling jewelry and sports and knives and stuff like that. I had a lot of production assistants, all over the map, setting things up and stuff. We'd had a long work day and they were taking a break. Well, the big bosses happened to walk through and saw them standing around not doing anything. And the perception was that they were lazy. They weren't working, that
Right.
they weren't. And that was the reality.
Right. That's what they
at that moment
perceived.
And I had to let my production assistants know, you can't just be staying or sitting around not doing anything in the open. Right. Because and that could I kind of think that too. If I go to a fast food restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and I go in for some food and I see in the corner table, I see some employees over there cutting up and laughing up, and they're wearing the uniforms. They're wearing whatever the fast food logo is. And I'm like, look at them goofing around. They're not even working. I hope they're not on the time clock.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was that perception.
I think that's a good point. I'll oftentimes have business owners say, I just don't know how much I want to invest in my marketing because I don't want to look like I'm bragging. And I always tell them, if you don't tell your customer what you want them to think of your company, they're going to form their own opinion.
Right.
So image is everything. If you don't tell people how to feel and think about your company, they're going to form their own opinions. Is that going to better serve you?
Right.
Or is it going to harm you? And most of the time it harms you.
Right. So that's a lot to think about, I know, as far as customers are concerned. But I think we're going to end this section with, a marketing budget next?
Yeah. The topic 4 was setting a realistic marketing budget, because that is, when you're laying the foundation, it's an important part, right? When you think about that, okay, I'm a business owner and I have this big marketing budget and I'm having to pay rent. I'm having to pay utilities. I'm having to pay employees. I'm having to pay inventory. The list goes on and on. But where do new businesses overspend too soon? What's worth spending money on in the early stages? And how can you stretch a tight budget and still show up consistently? And we're assuming, but it's a good assumption, that most businesses are starting off on a limited budget unless they are a large corporation or a large, investor business entity. But most of them are small business to medium business owners. So I always say, first and foremost, consider what you're truly willing to invest in your brand's growth, because you can build the prettiest facility and you can have the best. Let's say I'm a boutique and I have the best higher end designers and clothes, and in my area I know that there are certain tennis moms that are going to want to just rush in and buy all of the clothes that I have. But if I've spent all of my money on my inventory and on my pretty shop, but I haven't really set aside enough money to have a legit website, a legit social media channels, and actually try to go in the local chambers or whatever it's involved in that certain community and let them know I'm there, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
If people don't know I'm there, they're not going to come.
No one's going to come.
Right. So that's just a major part, is to really set a realistic marketing budget. I oftentimes have people say, well, what is a realistic marketing budget? Well, it depends. If it's a first year out the gate, it's going to be higher. It's going to be in the 10% range, probably, of your gross estimated profit, what you estimate the first year. And then it's going to go down from there. Why do you think it goes down?
Why?
Because hopefully you've done what you needed to do with that investment,
Right.
and people know you exist, and you now have the branding and awareness going on. You're where you need to be, and then the relationship building starts. Once you can start building your clientele, building those relationships, it's human nature. Once somebody knows you exist and then are intrigued to learn more about you, and then actually you get them to do business, the next part is to keep them doing business. And the ultimate goal is that they are your biggest advocate and referral source. So that's just an evolution. But eventually, depending on the businesses, I know a lot that spend about 5% or less on their marketing budget once they have the foundation laid.
I know about 95% that robbed Peter to pay Paul because they didn't plan a marketing budget.
Yes. And a big, what about overspending? I really, if one takeaway from this is, don't always, if you do not have a marketing person on your team and you maybe don't have a marketing consultant, do not say yes to the flashiest salesperson that calls you or walks through your door promising that they're going to bring you all of these leads, because I see so many people putting budgets that they don't have and a lot of money into this little thing out there to have maybe just a little digital ad, but they don't even have a website that's nice.
Right.
I know we talked about this on previous episodes, but to really think on the basic building blocks. What do I need to succeed? And then growing from there. Do I think that eventually you could have online ads? Yes, but there's no reason to have an online ad if you don't have a nice website. So, yeah.
Well, okay. So basically what we're saying is, whether it's setting the tone, whether it's knowing your customers, whether it's getting a marketing budget, all of this kind of sets the tone, the overall tone for surveying the land for step one of our 7 steps of branding. And of that, like I said earlier, we're going to try to go over each step on each future episode. So I guess the next step would be the foundations, pouring the foundations of a house. So you've pinpointed where you want your business, and now you're ready to lay down some foundations of that. And that'll be in the next episode. Oh, hey there. It looks like our episode went just a little bit too long, so I think we're going to have to divide it in half. Next Tuesday, be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of episode 4 of The Survey Says, where we actually go into a much deeper dive of all things branding. So, in the meantime, stay bold, stay you, and let's get branded. See you next week.